I'm going to be talking about four different topics that are going on in Nigeria today, whether it be politics or personal. If you want to keep hearing about it, please be a darling, like, share, subscribe, click on the bell notification so that you can get more videos like this. And listen for the fourth one because it's going to be really, really interesting. Why don't you just stay on with me? See you soon. Like I said, we're talking about quite a few things. I'm going to be talking about the president hosting the Catholic bishops. I know that's news that happened quite a few days ago, but I'm just going to give you my perspective on that visit. I'm going to be talking about the Osun State election, the brouhaha that's going on, and kind of my thoughts and my analysis on that. And I'm going to be just talking about a few personal things about VDM and his perspective on the whole Jude and Peter and Paul issue. I'm just going to be talking about my perspective on VDM's involvement in that whole fiasco. And then finally, I'm going to be having a conversation about Tuface reuniting with Annie and leaving the Honorable Natasha and kind of my final thoughts on that. So just sit tight and take a listen. I think President Tinubu should listen to people's opinions that are different from his more often. Because when you're a leader, like a CEO, a president, a chairman, or a leader of anything, a conglomerate, a business, a school, a company, or what have you, a nation state like Tinubu is, sometimes you end up being in a bubble with people who are tooting your horn and people who are saying what you're saying so that they get favors with you. And I feel like that is the case with President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So when the Catholic bishops came and had a sit down with him, maybe a courtesy visit, they just echoed what the people were saying on the ground.
We urge you to encourage elected political office holders who are members of your party, governors, members of the National Assembly, local government chairmen, to ensure that a genuine level playing field is maintained and that focus is placed on making everyone see that the rules and processes are fair to all and respected by all. As a man who risks so much in the struggle for the return of democratic rule in the dark days of military dictatorship, your greatest legacy would be the strengthening of our democratic institutions.
The fear of the lack of independence of INEC, the insecurity, the poverty, the economy, they were just echoing what their parishioners are talking about from all over the country. Remember that the Catholic Church, it's a big institution, not only nationally, but globally. So these bishops are coming in, they are independent because they know that APC members are also Catholic, PDP members, ADC, NDC, they are all Catholics. Not all, but some of their members are also in the faith. So they can't come in and say, okay, we're going to support one candidate or the other, because they will not be a representative of the general population of their parishioners. So they came to just talk to the president about some of their concerns about the economy. They said that the macroeconomic indices are positive, but it's not trickling down to the average Nigerian. And then they also talked about the 2027 elections, concerns they had about INEC's independence. These were some of the conversations they were having with Mr. President, and Mr. President began to disagree with them. And I kind of understand why he was disagreeing, because if he has his senior special advisor on media and communications telling him that everything is hunky-dory, the Minister of Defense saying that Nigeria is secure, and every minister in his Federal Executive Council saying that everything is okay based on their key performance indicators, then he is thinking, well, I'm doing a good job. But the bishops coming in are a representative of the general public, because guess what? In every single community, you have a Catholic parish. So they are representing the general public. So if he is talking to people who are of a different opinion than his, then he's able to give a different perspective and say, look, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. I hear what the people are saying. And then give a positive response or a neutral response, even if he doesn't agree with what the bishops are saying. So that is what I will advise the president. Always listen to a diverse array of opinions, because listen, you're the father of the nation. Whether people agree with you or they don't agree with you, whether people like you or they don't like you. So it's important that you represent the general demographic, because to be very honest with you, Mr. President, it seems like you're around a lot of sycophants, because let's call a spade, you're rich and you're powerful. So people want to be around you so that they can get some of that to benefit their own selves and their own families. So they will tell you what you want to hear. So it is important that even if it's once a quarter or once a month, call somebody into your office that has a different opinion from yours, that comes from a different angle from yours, so that you're able to get a general consensus of what is happening in the country, a general pulse. That's my advice to you, Mr. President, instead of just disagreeing the way you did. Take a listen.
All is fair in politics, and it's equal opportunity. INEC you mentioned are neutral. They've never intimidated anybody. If political opponents are crying wolves, maybe they are afraid of their own shadows and the uncertainty in the companies they keep. Not me.
And then you now had other people like Nyesom Wike also disagreeing. Take a listen.
If you're a religious leader and it is perceived of sin, you are taking a side which is very clear. It becomes difficult for people to begin to see those comments as being helpful.
So it's important, Mr. President, that you listen to all sides. Listen to what everyone is saying, so that you can now come up with some sort of answer to what everybody else is saying, and not saying, this is what I think, this is what I want, and everybody else can go and sit down. So it's the entire APC machinery against Governor Ademola Adeleke for the Osun State governorship seat. And it's extremely obvious the way things are looking. Initially, the Edo State governor came campaigning against the governor, saying that the governor is always dancing, that he needs to stop dancing and he needs to dance out of there. Listen to this.
Before somebody sign paper, he will dance. Are you not tired? For 4 years, this man has been dancing. Before he take breakfast, before he drink tea, he will dance. I was asking my friend, and I said, I can't even remember when I saw this man in our general meeting in Abuja. Before he even entered the plane, he will dance. Before he got there, we had closed. So he won't know what we are saying. He doesn't know the reality of today. If they bring money, chop that money from them, but don't vote for them. They said they have money to spend. Is that not so? Just collect the money, keep it in your pocket. That man is Obaseki's friend. You know we kick Obaseki out of Edo. So we have to kick his friend out of this place too. Edo people chop Obaseki's money, but they never vote for him. But they kick him out. A governor that is not working, the best gift for him is to send him out of that state.
Then all of a sudden, His Excellency Hopuzodima said the same thing. Maybe not the same thing, but in other words, talking about the governorship election in Osun State. And he's talking all the way from Imo State. And Davido seems to be the person standing in to speak up for his uncle, because Davido has a huge audience, so he's able to speak very assertively against it. So let's take a listen.
And to our daddy from Imo State, I say this with respect, sir. I have heard rumors suggesting that there are moves to interfere in the Osun State election, or use the state as a political battleground to prove a point. I do not present these claims as facts, but I appeal to you, sir, to use your influence to promote peace and allow the people of Osun choose their candidates freely.
Then you now had an issue where the EFCC froze the Osun State accounts. And then President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu had to order EFCC to close these accounts. And that's why I say that sometimes some things that they say are coming in from the presidency are not actually from the presidency, but people in his circle that have personal interests that are speaking in or doing things on behalf of the presidency. So now the president had to just be embarrassed and say, I didn't ask them to do that, and instructed EFCC to reopen those accounts. And then all of a sudden, a senator, a sitting senator representing Osun State, started saying all sorts of defamatory things against Governor Adeleke and the Accord Party of which he represents, that if anybody comes from Accord Party to vote for the governor should be unalived, that this election is a federal election. It's no longer a state election. That's why I said earlier that it is Governor Ademola Adeleke versus the federal government. Because if a sitting senator is sitting up here talking like this, if a current sitting governor of Edo State is campaigning against the governor, and also the governor of Imo State speaking against the governor, that should say something. And we just need to hope that the Independent National Electoral Commission is independent in the Osun State election, because the Osun State election is going to be a huge determining factor as to whether the national election will be free, fair, and credible. So my appeal to INEC, to Professor Joash Amuputan, is that this should be a free, fair, and credible election so that people can come out and vote for their own chosen candidate during the national election in January of 2027. So this is a huge deal that governors are coming from the woodworks and speaking against the governor. So, and then you also had Are Dele Momodu speak just a few hours ago, saying that he's going to support His Excellency Governor Ademola Adeleke as governor, even though he's in ADC, that he's going to support his brother in Accord Party. So you have supporters like that are cross-carpeting.
They should allow you to do anti-party activities for these ones, and you retrace your step afterwards.
I remember watching Governor Fashola of Lagos State when he said, may our loyalty not be tested. My loyalty is being tested this time, and I've chosen Ademola Adeleke. Not just because he's a friend, but because he has done well. Speak to anybody who has visited us. I was born in Ile-Ife. I spent almost the first 28 years of my life in Ile-Ife. Apart from the University of Ife, I've never seen a major development in Ife since I was born in 1960, like what Governor Adeleke has done.
Chief Dele Momodu.
In recent time.
Yeah. I don't know if I see anything wrong with that, because in the US, a lot of Republicans voted for Obama. A lot of Republicans actually just went against their own candidate and voted for Obama and supported Obama. So I don't know if I should say that there's anything wrong with what Daily Momodu is doing, Are Daily Momodu is doing, but let's see what happens during the Osun State election, that everything pans out and it's a free, fair, and credible election. Because if that's not the case and it is not proven that it's a free, fair, credible election and that there is ballot snatching and there is a change in the EC8A and there is not direct electronic transmission into IREV, and if there is no voter accreditation in the BVA, which is the bimodal voter accreditation system, if that does not happen, or the INEC officials come in late and they don't start doing accreditation on time, if a lot of these things happen, then there's going to be an issue. Or the budget for the Osun State election is not released on time. That is another issue. So we have to really look at all the factors that will come into play that will make the election possible. So let's just hope that the Osun State election is free, fair, and credible, so that it allays the fears of Nigerians to go out and bring out their PVCs and say, you know what, I will vote and my vote will count in my polling unit. I was not going to talk about the very dark man involvement in the Psquare saga with Peter Okoye trying to do an expose against his brothers for numerous infractions, because I'm a VDM fan and I have never hidden it, and I've never acted like I'm not a VDM fan over the past few years, especially since he came on the platform in 2022. Usually when I disagree with VDM, I just don't say anything. I just kind of sit back and, let the story pass. I keep saying to Rattles and VDM fans, or current former VDM fans, is that VDM is a young man. Do you know this man is in his early 30s? He just became popular within the past 3 years. I feel like he's just figuring this thing out as he's going, and we're growing with him. And we just have to watch him as he goes. Like you said, he initially agreed with Peter, and then he met with Jude, and then he agreed with Jude. There were some issues with Peter, and then Fino came into the mix and all that. I didn't say anything because I just believe that this Psquare thing is something that I felt like he shouldn't have gotten himself involved in. I think that once Peter came to him and discussed it, he should have just nodded, and once the issue came into play, he should have just stayed out of it. Yes, he's a popular influencer. People will be waiting for his opinion, but as an influencer, there are some things you touch and there are some things you don't touch. You just kind of pick your battles, because I'm not as big as VDM is, but there are some stories that come out that I don't even touch, that I just let go, and I like, let's live and let live. Because VDM, you were in primary school when some of us were dancing to Psquare, dancing to Psquare in parties, dancing to Psquare in the car as we're driving. I was in the diaspora listening to Psquare, and Tuface. That's the old Tuface from the beginning. So some of those things, you just listen and then respectfully bow out and not speak on it, because these are elders in the entertainment business. They've been having issues, and a lot of it, with family issues, you just have to kind of take a couple of steps back, and I feel like that I have a right to say anything I want. You do. It's a free country. You're an influencer. You can, just like me, I can say anything I want. You can say whatever you want as well. It's just that because you are more influential now and millions of people listen to you in every post, it's like a lot of things need to be thought through strategically before saying anything, and I think you're at a stage now, VDM, that you need a publicist. You need a media person that would advise you on when to speak and when not to speak. I mean, there are times you may take their counsel, and there are times they will not, because you're paying them. They work for you. But I'm just saying that your brand has now become very important. When you talk, things move, and you don't want to end up losing credibility with your followers. For me, I'm older, and to me, people your age call me auntie. So I understand that you are growing into this role, and a lot of your mistakes, I just see it as a part of growth. So I don't take it personally, and I will not stop following you, because when people are growing, even myself included, you get some things right and you get some things wrong. And it's just that in your case, it's open for all of us to see. Some of us that made our mistakes, nobody saw it. Like in my era, I mean, nobody saw my mistakes. Nobody saw things that I did that weren't right. But because you're in the public, people are seeing it. So I'm going to unfollow. That's not necessary. The Bible even says, Jesus even said to the people who were throwing stones at the adulterous woman, he who has no sin, let him cast the first stone. And that's how I'm looking at it with Very Dark Man. He's growing, but I would say to you, as an elder sister or as an elder follower, you should have just sat this one out. This, for me, this is above your pay grade, because these people are older musicians than the Davido you are even looking at, the Burna Boy, the Wizkids, and all those people. You should have just let that go. Yes, you are aware. You should have just kept quiet. Okay, I've seen it, and not said anything. And if you are led to say something neutral. Like, look, they are siblings. I hope they settle their differences, because you have brothers. You have a brother that's very close to you, that's looking at your interest in China. You guys might disagree, but you don't want a situation where it's in the market square for everybody to see and make judgments. So looking at it that way, Very Dark Man, I think, yes, you may have heard things behind the scenes. A lot of times, wisdom, comes from restraint. And I think you should have exercised restraint in this issue, not said anything. Like I said to you with the Sheon Kuti issue, when he said that he doesn't want your love, you should have just not left it alone, So I think that with growth comes more wisdom. And I think this situation is going to just give you more wisdom, and you're going to continue to grow in this role as a rattle leader for all of us to see. Don't worry, it's part of the process. So Tuface is no longer married to the Honorable Natasha. Were they even married? I think it was introduction. And I think with the family of the Honorable Natasha, an introduction is like a mini traditional wedding. It's huge. So people can be under the impression that it is actually a wedding when it's just an introduction. And from the looks of things, Tuface has lost interest. He has moved on. The whole thing is over, and I think he has ran back to Annie Macaulay, which is she's now converted her social media handle to Idibia now. So he has ran to her with his tail between his legs, and he went back to her, and she took him with open arms, and it looks like it's alleged that they may be expecting another baby. So when it comes to married people matter, when person they chook mouth, you don't chook mouth with confirm, because you don't know what is going on behind the scenes. with Tuface, with the Honorable Natasha, how that relationship was. We just saw a lot of toxic behavior between them for us to see. It's not like an alleged or rumor has it. We just saw it. And then we saw the way Annie behaved. She was just trying to pick up the pieces of her life and move on. She was in rehab when Tuface said he is divorcing her. He's no longer interested in the marriage. The whole just devastation of it all. She had to just pick up the pieces of her life and move on. But now he has gone back to her with his tail between his legs. And I can't judge because, marriage is complicated. It's a complicated thing. It's an institution and it's a covenant under God. And it is the institution that has become the most attacked by the kingdom of darkness. So you can't really say like what is going on. But the humiliation that he has given Annie, man, she's a champ to take all of that. Being the long-suffering wife, you watched your husband go into the arms of another woman and do an introduction, pictures everywhere. You've seen him with hand held with another woman, see him speak up for another woman. You've seen him do all that and still had to take it and then take him back. Annie, you try. You're a trooper. I wish you all well, and I wish that everybody just stays in their lane. It is alleged that the Honorable Natasha went in with some bodyguards to try to get her husband from a club. And she was seen, and they had to say, look, I'm no longer interested in our relationship. You need to move on. And for the Honorable Natasha, it's likely tough to accept because an elite woman as she is, a lot of them are used to getting what they want. So it's going to be an uphill climb for Tuface and Annie to navigate. And Tuface, you're in your 50s. Just sit down for house, stay home, be with your wife, manage the one that you have. Oh, look, the grass is never greener on the other side. Us women, you may think, oh, the one that's in the house is giving you trouble. If you now go to the other side and look for another woman, the trouble she may give you may make your other wife look like the other woman look like a saint. So it's never greener on the other side. Just stay home, be with your wife, and pick up the pieces of the huge brood of children that you have. There are men that have broods of children that are managing quite well, i.e. Eddie Murphy. He has a brood of children by different women, and he seems to be managing it okay. If we can even look in our backyard here, Davido, he has a brood of children, but he has a wife and he's managing it well. You're an elder. Just go home, manage your children that are with you and your wife, and manage the other children that you've had with a slew of other women. And I'm sure there are other women that we don't know of that have kids by you. So just manage the family that you've built and settle down, because the bed you're laying, when you become an old man, I hope you're ready to lie in it. So if you like everything that you've just watched, please be a darling. Like, share, subscribe, click on the bell notification to get more videos like this. Thank you so much. You're such a darling. And I will see you in the next video.